Yeah. All right. All right, people, how you doing? My name is Tim Black. Welcome back to the Tim Black Show. What's going on? Happy MLK Day, people. What up? Happy MLK Day. So, my people, let me first give a shout out to my moderators. Buck Bewley, Black Mamba, and Ebony in the house. Give it up for them, y'all. And if they're not here, they're here in spirit. I want to give it up to my Black, Tim Black Wolfpack. The Tim Black Wolfpack in the building as always. We're live on a number of platforms tonight. Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble, Kick for kicks. Rumble for whatever. We'll see. And if you're on those platforms, sharing is caring. So, you know, it's been a while since I've done an MLK Day show. You know, it's one of those things, you cover it, and you realize, okay, I got a message today, well, yesterday, I got a message from YouTube that I had reached a milestone in my content creator career, my career of content creation. I passed the 6,000 number. That's right, I passed the 6,000 number, folks. I have over 6,000 videos on my channel. Give it up for that. As a good friend of mine, Rob, told me, this will leave quite a legacy for my children to go back through and watch when I'm no longer here. So that'll be something, if nothing else. Also, I was like, well, you know what? If you've done 6,000 pieces of content, it may be a little hard for people to locate that MLK video you did in 2017. And why don't you dust off the old microphone and go back at it? Player. And there's other motivations for me doing this tonight. I'm tired of the nonsense. And I also want to shore up those who feel a little bit of confliction based on the revealings of the Trump administration and the belly aching and crying, or the teasing and chastising, the ribbing from the conservatives. So yeah, I figured that would be a good time to come back over this issue of Dr. MLK and revisit it for the Reverend and take a look at things and make some comments and give you my commentary. Now remember, I'm not a news reporter, and I hope this proves it. because I'm not reporting any news tonight. What I am doing is giving commentary. What happened, what I think about it, what I believe it means, and hopefully some things you can take away and you can examine for yourself and decide however you want to feel about it. Nobody makes your mind up but you. Just present the argument. So, where do we begin? Well, we're not going to begin at the beginning because that's crazy. That's too far. And this is not a history class. But what this is, it's a call out. See, the big reveal for conservatives this year, or last year, I should say, is that they believe that MLK had affairs. Hope the ceiling doesn't fall in. Yeah, a man in the 60s had affairs. When I started examining what they were saying, I'm not going to say it all. Like, time and space may not have anything to do with it, and morality is morality, particularly of a reverend. But that's really all they're really accusing MLK of, is not being pristine. I find that crazy. They have other detractions of MLK. I want to prove to you today that most of the motivations around the slandering of MLK, the releasing of these documents, all of this is not so much that he had affairs, because, what are we talking about here? That sounds like a personal matter. Sounds like a family matter. Doesn't sound like a matter of national security, particularly of a private citizen who hasn't been elected to any offices, having been given one vote. Seems a little bit hypocritical for the same people that are claiming MLK has less than a pristine background, though he died for what he believed in, at the hands of a shooter. Somehow they found a way to overlook obvious, undeniable transgressions of their current leader in the real time, when they could go ask him, where he could respond, where he's allowed to address the issues. It's crazy. Crazy. But see, that's what happens when your true motive is not truth or honesty. We're not even operating on a level playing field of, are we upset about the ethics? Are we upset about the thing? Or is it some other reason why we're doing the fake outrage? See, there is something else. There is another reason. Ladies and gentlemen, really all they have is that they believe MLK had affairs. That while he was touring the country, that he slept with other women. These people choose to criticize MLK for consensual sex, yet overlook sexual assaults, pedo acts, and rape by their founding fathers. It's crazy. They want us to believe that we should not question, not only not question, that we are foolish to indict presidents who were bigoted on slaves. By the way, they raped their slaves. They assaulted their slaves. That's why you tend to run into black Americans who are Halle Berry complexion. All of that mulatto. It's a lot of that, average black American is at least 25% Caucasian, not because they had a good friend across the way, but because of things done without their consent. They could not give consent. They weren't considered human. I digress. Let's just say you eating a hypocrite sandwich, and the rest of us don't want a slice of it. Look. Many of these people that criticize MLK won't criticize Trump, and Trump's right there. They could talk to him. They could go to his press conference. He has the actual platform to defend himself. And another important thing about these accusations about MLK, I'm very reluctant to believe anything that comes out of the mouths, or should I say, out of the corridors of the FBI and the CIA, about a person they know they considered an enemy of the state, who they surveilled, wiretapped, followed, put inside men, had snitches inside his organization, bugged everything. I mean, this was like, of course, they wanted to dig up as much dirt as possible. And there's no actual recordings. There are people's transcripts of the recordings. And of course, they would never lie. They would never embellish. They would never paint a person, particularly a black man, in a negative light, beyond, reality. Now, they never do that. It's crazy. The hypocrisy's sick. I mean, it's nothing but politics. These people are all playing politics, Johnson. They don't care. They really don't. No, they really don't care. And if they do care, I don't care. Because it's crazy. All right, now, because it matters a lot less what MLK's sex life was when you considered he wasn't in an elected office. King was a private citizen being taped and harassed by the FBI, the CIA. And these people are not complaining about that. They're not complaining about it. Oh, that's right, we didn't have rights. Get it? So it's crazy. What the detractors fail to understand is that MLK was raising issues of black people that were oppressed. That's what made him famous. That's what made him an icon, was what he was fighting for. Not his stick-to-itiveness in his relationships or his ability to forget he was a rock star. I mean, he's a rock star amongst rock stars. I mean, to be MLK in the 60s and to be a relatively young man would have to be a lot of pressure. That's no excuse. I'm just putting it in context. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, stress. They say when they did the autopsy on the body, he had the heart of a 60-year-old. I wonder if that had to do with all the fun times he was having, or it had to do with the fact he was being surveilled 24/7 by the full brunt of the U.S. alphabet soup organizations. His life is under constant jeopardy. I wonder if that had something to do with it. So easily they discredit black people, particularly black men. It's beastly, prone to impulse, depraved. Even when we give our lives up, we can't catch a break. We can't even be dead and gone. Still some white man using us to his own devices. Ain't that a bitch? The civil rights movement did not exist because MLK gave a speech. The civil rights movement existed because black people were not given rights. You can take away MLK's speech. You can't take away all the people who died, who fought, who suffered, who strived to help us attain rights and our freedom, our full freedom. I'm the first man in my family to have all the rights of all you white guys watching. And I don't think you're better than me. And I don't think you're better than my dad or my granddad or my uncles, my great uncles. You're just white. Some of you are far worse. I tend to judge people by the obstacles they have to overcome, not just by the success they have and how much money they have. Oh, you overcame a father with a heavy hand and a drinking problem. At least you got to be white while it was happening. At least you got to be a white person while it was happening. The civil rights movement existed because America did not give black Americans the same rights as white Americans. No matter how much you discredit MLK, you won't change that. It's not lost on me that there are some people so intent on minimizing the civil rights era and the reason it was necessary that they started propping up, they resort to propping up 30-year-old white kid who said a lot of bigoted crap, all because he got shot. Now we got to make him MLK Part 2, the white version. Only problem is he was shot by a white guy, not a black guy. Even though he said a lot of bigoted shit. I wonder, does that prove anything? Guess not. What civil rights was he fighting for? You already have them. You can't fight for them again. Oh, that's right. Most oppressed people on the planet, in America, are white men. Just happen to get 97% of all the venture capitalist loans. You know what? If getting 97% of all the venture capital loans to go out and create wealth for your family is what you call being oppressed and discriminated against, I love for our group, our brothers and sisters, me, Tyrone, Darrell, and Terrell, to trade places with you. Want to switch? I'm sure it's a one-legged busboy in here somewhere who won't take the offer. Shout out to Chris Rock. It's okay if you use people as material, just give them credit. All because this guy Charlie Kirk is wrapped in a Christian aura. They want to equate him to MLK. It don't make any sense. Listen, the only problem was he was shot by a white guy. And you know, it's weird, man. It's like we got both the left and the right. They can't get their colors right. Listen, Charlie was shot by a white guy, arguably a guy even whiter than him. I guess when you heard his name was Tyler, you were thinking Tyler, the Creator. Nah, it's a different Tyler. Think Tyler Durden's pathetic little brother who never got laid. Same thing with the left, or with the liberals, I should say. And they go on and on about Renee like they're looking for a mascot to cheer. Because they thought Renee was a black woman. I mean, her name sounds black enough, Renee Good. And when they found out she was white, Renee Bad. Oh. Could have raised a couple bill off that. Guess we'll just bust into a church on a Sunday on MLK Day and make a scene instead. Back on track, Tim, back on track. Black oppression existed before MLK. It existed after MLK, and it exists now. America's policies against MLK, America's media on the right that attack MLK should be on trial. And America's policies against Black America should be on trial. Not MLK's personal life. I would say it's insane, but it's not. It's diabolical. You know, I was looking at some of the iconic imagery of MLK, man, and it's something. Kind of hard to overlook that whatever he said about the man, he was articulating in a vision and a reality, and he was articulating the struggle of Black Americans, and that's not about what his personal situation was. Not that I have to defend it. I don't. That's just not what it's about. I don't want to cede. I don't want to give them that because I don't know, nor do I care. But why do they care? Why do you care? See, I think what it is they're still operating under this crazy notion, fam. Or they want all of us to operate under this idea that somehow Black Americans would be better off if it weren't for civil rights. I mean, that and most of the Black conservatives who are spewing this shit are probably getting checks cut. I mean, everywhere I looked, from all of the Turning Point USA affiliates, Prager University, Black faces, it seems like they all had the same talking points. I don't know, maybe it was a reason. They all said the same shit. Yeah, I'm thinking there was a reason for it. I'm thinking they were all scripted. Yeah, MLK doesn't have to be the angel, doesn't have to be a saint. He just had to tell the truth about what Black Americans were going through and are going through. That's it. He did so effectively that 97 years later, well, actually, he was born on the 16th, right? Yeah, he was born on the 16th. We just celebrated on the 19th. This would be the 3 days ago, it'd have been his 97th birthday. So I guess what? Over 50 years ago. He can't let it go. They got to keep talking about him. That's how great he was. This idea that some of us are delusional, don't understand how the Democratic Party operates. They'll use anything they can to get ahead, anything they can to win elections, anything they can to further their agenda, that we don't understand that. Now, I'm not saying all of Black America gets that. Here's the thing. A lot of Americans do get it. I mean, only 50% of Americans vote. One of the precise reasons why the other 50% don't vote is because they don't trust the parties. This idea, we need Candace Owens, Officer Tatum to save us, is crazy. They can't save themselves. They owe everything they have to white people. Well, nobody know who these people were if they didn't tap dance with white people for the first 5 years of their careers. That's the only reason why they're sitting here. Who knows what they did? Who knows what orgies they participated in? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows what scenarios? Who knows what relationships? I mean, gotta give a little to get a little, don't you? Yeah, but I don't want to be like you guys. Well, those guys. I don't want to be like those guys. The bottom line is that most of us are not fooled by the Democratic Party's talking points. We're just not. Half of America doesn't vote. And even a large portion of the Democratic vote blew anywho. Or Democratic vote blew anywho because they don't trust Republicans. Even less than they trust Democrats. It's not because they worship the Democrats. That's like a fallacy. You know, It's like a myth that you got to be in love with a party to vote for it when it feels like you only got two options. And if you're thoroughly convinced that one side of it could care less if you lived, died, if your children rotted behind bars on trumped up charges, if your school stayed unfunded, I mean, it wouldn't be that hard of a choice, would it? If you were convinced, the other party could care less about you. I mean, it's not like Democrats have to work to earn votes. It's not because everybody's hypnotized. It's just a low-hanging fruit talking point that conservatives love to use to earn their keep with the white conservatives. So black conservatives have to say they're trying to free the confused minds of black Americans who didn't choose their party. Though it's their party, they did all the surveilling on MLK and still are trying to smear MLK to this day. It's crazy. Then it's also this thing called hypocrisy. Oh man, the hypocrisy. I mean, if we're going to call a thing, let's call a thing a thing. Let's be honest and reasonable about what we're talking about. The only reason why you're going back over MLK's background trying to find skeletons in his closet, but you're upset that anybody would call out Robert E. Lee statues. What? Man fought to keep us enslaved, was a humongous historical bigot. And we don't want to look at his statue every day going into a school. If you can't understand that, that is unpatriotic. But it's not unpatriotic to go back to one of the great American icons in world history and look in his private life to see if he did anything. And you come back out with consensual sex outside his marriage, and you blow that up to condemn him as a human being. The hypocrisy, man. That's a lot of hypocrisy. I don't know how you can't fit that in a condo. You need a humongous warehouse to store all that hypocrisy, don't you? You know, I was looking at some film. Look at some clips here, Johnson. I thought this was something.
You say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the set?
Yeah, sure. If
Hey,
I
Pam,
could.
could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
So a good faith effort is being made to release files tonight.
Really?
They're obviously doing that. And I think as it relates to redactions, I mean, my impression is that there's a whole lot of names of victims in there and minors and other people that you probably wouldn't want to release, and they do need to be redacted. Regarding Bill Clinton, I'm sorry to tell you, the reason that Bill Clinton's picture is in the Epstein files is because this has always been a story about Bill Clinton and not Donald Trump. We should call it the Clinton files, not the Epstein files. That's what we're learning tonight. This is the Clinton files. This is the blowing up in the face of the Democrats over this. It's Bill Clinton. This is a story about Democrats and Bill Clinton, and it's always been that way.
Pictures of Donald.
Did very bad things, and they're victims. And there's really only one side that, at least the way that I was raised, it makes sense to stand on. And I really have real questions for anybody who is trying to obfuscate or diminish what's actually going on here. And again, Scott, you keep saying, well, he didn't do anything. There's no indication of criminality. If that's true, he should be elated that we're putting these things out.
It's not if that's true. It is true. Can you name any evidence?
I would like to see the evidence. What I'm saying is,
you think after 10 years of public life, you wouldn't know it already?
No, I don't. That's exactly the point.
Oh, my goodness.
Scott,
this is an IQ test. Don't fail it. Come on, man.
Scott, that's
10 years Donald Trump has been in public
that's
life.
embarrassing.
Come on.
Release the files. Why not just celebrate what was about to happen, what did happen today?
Yeah, I think he's sick of being asked about it. I think he's sick of being accused by Democrats and a lot of people in the media of having had something to do with Epstein when he had nothing to do with Epstein. There's not a shred of evidence he ever did anything wrong. I think he's probably frustrated with some people in his own party for going along with all this. But look, they've decided to put it behind them today. perfectly fine. We'll see what comes out in the files. I'll tell you what I think we're going to find out, though, that a heck of a lot more Democrats had more to do with Epstein than Donald Trump
Well,
ever
do you
did.
think you
Many of the people who I'd named, I'm not surprised, came back and fired back. I will say that I don't think any of them actually argued with the point that I was making. But the whole point that I was making is here's a principle. Either you uphold the principle or you don't uphold the principle. If you don't uphold the principle, I'm going to call you out for not upholding the principle. And it really is quite simple. It's not about friendship. It's not about whether we go fishing together. None of that has anything to do with the principle that's at stake. Because if we want to have an honest discussion with one another, then we actually should be honest about the principles that we hold. And if we disagree, we disagree. But clarity before agreement, as my friend Dennis Prager says.
And that's sort of my point, fam. We should have principles, and if you're going to stick to the principles, you're going to call people out based on principle, then you should be able to apply those same principles to yourself, even people you like. Yeah, if you can't hold yourself accountable, you can't hold others accountable. The hypocrisy is real. I mean, Trump's sitting right over there in the White House, and the Epstein files are, where are those files? We go back in time, 60, 50, 60, 40 years, 6, 70 years. What? That don't seem crazy to you at all? To prove a dead man like the ladies? That's it? He wasn't selling U.S. secrets? He wasn't selling people? When MLK starts selling people, when you bring evidence, not handwritten, not typed documents from FBI, right? When you bring actual evidence, maybe then we'll look at it. But then what are we looking at? Even if you do that, I don't trust you. So if I don't trust you, bring something else. And prove something besides a guy like the ladies. I mean, those people that clap for MLK, and don't get it twisted, a lot of people did not support him at the time of his death. A lot of Black Americans had moved on. Let's keep that real for a second. Black America needs to own up to that, the fact that a lot of us were yes men and yes women to the establishment and didn't want to rile up the government. But like so many people in my comment section alluded to, I've seen comments, it's crazy to me that we have a number of conservatives still making this bogus claim that Black Americans have been so much better off without civil rights. And that's the true tale, that these are paid sellouts. I don't use that lightly. I mean, what other conclusion could I draw? The Byron Donalds, the Antonio Daniels, Jesse Lee Petersons, all of these people. When I look at some of the data, I mean, there's a number of areas you can look at before the Civil Rights Movement. Look at Black America before the Civil Rights Movement and then look at us after the Civil Rights Movement. And you'll find a number of areas that we did much better in. It's not perfect. It's not perfect at all, fam. But this idea we just live separately, everything was going to be fine, is very much an unfull hypothesis, right? Because you can't prove that. And when you got a system that's diabolical as white supremacy, which is basically just white people making sure white Americans and rich white Americans, particularly rich white Americans, because they can care less about you poor guys. I always say all the time, when I say white supremacy, I'm never talking about the average white person walking around. They may be a tool of it. They may wield it and use it to hurt Black people or others, but you're really not controlling it. You're just using it, the little piece of it you can grab a lever of. Now, the people on the top with the money are the true people wielding the power. Not a Karen at Walmart acting like an asshole. But this idea that civil rights didn't do something, didn't improve the lives of Black Americans. Okay, let me run down a list of things. Feel free to use this list to debunk somebody on your MLK day who wants to give you drama. Black poverty fell from 34.7% in 68 to 22% today. That's a 37% reduction. Over 1/3 of African Americans were in poverty in 68. Today, the share in poverty is just over 1 in 5. So it went from less than 1 in 3 to less than 1 in 5. You won't hear Byron Donalds quote that. In between 94 and 2001, black poverty fell almost 84 percentage points. Then we had the infant mortality rate that we still talk about. This still needs a lot more work. And by the way, so does the poverty rate. Okay, but I'm just offering some data points, right, to create the frame, so we can take a look at what took place between before civil rights, after civil rights. Okay, so infant mortality is a good way. How often are we keeping our babies alive? That's the survival of all things. African Americans have experienced enormous improvements in infant mortality rates, falling from 34.9% per 1,000 in 68 to only 11.4 in most recent data. I say only with a caveat that we're still talking about lives. But if you go from 34 to 11, okay, keep going, but let's acknowledge that's something. No, we don't. You're right. We should have kept our own businesses in our own neighborhoods. But for some reason, even having our own business in our own neighborhoods, access to things like hospitals for everyone across the country just wasn't happening. Prenatal care just wasn't happening. So, yeah, it's great to say bootstrap, we could have did it all. Okay, before civil rights, were we doing it all? Was it all getting done? Or were we paying taxes and not getting it back in return for our neighborhoods, for our communities? From 1960 to 1988, the infant mortality rate for the United States declined by 60%. From 60 to 92, the infant mortality rate decreased for Black Americans by 62%. Now, probably the biggest indicator if you're doing better or not doing so well will be life expectancy. The difference in life expectancy of Black and white men decreased from a differential of approximately 11 years in 1940 to 6-year difference in 1960. So it was even worse. White guys are still outliving the Black men, but it was by almost a decade. It was over a decade. In 1900, Black men were expected to live only to the age of 33. 14.6 years fewer than white Americans. By 2017, Black Americans were expected to live 75.3 years, 3.5 years fewer than white Americans. I'll take it. I'll sign up for the latter. Thank you. There's another statistics you won't hear the conservatives quote. Life expectancy. It's like they look at one area, and we're going to get to those areas because I support us doing better in those other areas that maybe would have been more, I don't know, maybe we'd be doing better in if we hadn't had civil rights, I guess. But if you don't have civil rights, do all the other things matter? Or people can just, I don't know, kill you in your sleep and not go to jail for it. Education's a good one. 90% of younger African Americans, ages 25 to 29, have graduated from high school. So by the time they're 29, about 90% of Black Americans have obtained enough education that's equivalent to high school. That wasn't the case back in 68. In 1940, it was only 7%, compared with 24% as a nation. Today, 88% of blacks or African Americans have a high school diploma or equivalent. So then we move on to income and wages. And the reality, real household income grew by over 40% for black families since the civil rights era. Since civil rights, our income as family income grew 40%. Now, here goes some of the areas that require more work, and I agree with you. But for some reason, you want to hang that on MLK? That doesn't make sense. MLK is not the deciding factor if we do better in these areas. God, still asking so much of one person. Just a man. Just a man, that's all. Black households that own their own homes, I talk about it all the time. Home ownership is the cornerstone of building wealth in this country for middle class or lower class Americans. We're at 42% back in what? 41.1%? Back in 68, we're at 42.1% today. That's by the Economic Policy Institute, if you'd like to check it, Nigel. In 2019, the homeownership gap between white and black population was larger than the gap in the 60s. And that's before the civil rights movement. So we've gone backwards in home ownership. Here's my thing. And the evidence is overwhelming that civil rights movement aided in the betterment of life for black Americans. It's not even a question. You look at these areas, whether it's life expectancy, education, God, what else I name? Life expectancy, education, income and wages, infant mortality, and poverty. We have increased. We have done better. We have improved in all those categories. There's some categories we may not be doing as well in, or maybe we're even doing worse in, like home ownership. But I thought that to other issues like, oh no, here come black people doing well. We'll fix that. And they proceeded to redline. They proceeded mass incarceration. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. After the civil rights movement started to having an impact, a major impact on black America, that's when we wanted a war on the blacks and the hippies. Yeah, that's when mass incarceration ramped up and the war on drugs began, or what I like to call the war on black people and poor whites, but mainly black people. Yeah, they weren't flying in cocaine and dropping it in Kentucky. So let me get this right. You think you're shitting on, let me get this right. You're upset. You want to defame MLK because you think MLK led black America into a burning house. My argument is that the house was already on fire. He was just trying to get some water, champ. And no movement's perfect, particularly one in a country where we don't run everything. I still believe at the end of the day, we came out much better. And I believe that based on data, not on warm, funny feelings in my pit of my stomach. Not because I'm looking for cool points from a political party or get invited somewhere, or because I work for some white guy who own a bigger company that I would like to get speaking engagements offered to Tatum. Or I want to chase the bag, Antonio. Or because, I don't know, you didn't get enough money in your NAACP settlement, Candace. And that goes to all of them, you know? Maybe some people mean well. Maybe they do. Maybe Maybe just see it another way. Maybe they're focused on that home ownership. And I'm with you on that, and I do believe in that. I believe home ownership is the cornerstone. I believe the economic issues, we need to deal with that straight up, all the way. That's where we need to be, fam. That's where our focus needs to lie. That's what's going to matter the most at this point. That's what we have to believe in. And somehow I believe the more economic power you have, the more some of these other areas will take care of themselves. But if you grew up in a situation like my parents did, when my mom and dad were young, when they heard lynchings were a thing, okay? And thousands of lynchings occurred across the country. And no one went to jail ever, right? So the idea that they wanted to get rights, obtain rights to defend themselves, to be defended by the Constitution, by the government, that makes sense. Because America had proved in the teens and the 20s in 2021 with Tulsa and Redwood, Rosewood, and many other places that it didn't really matter what you had if people could just come and take it and blow it up. Well, they could bomb your church, bomb your town, and flood it. Like, you understand that sometimes I think we look back with rose-colored glasses about a time that had a lot of pearl, had many, many obstacles. There's no one answer for it. I just don't think whatever that answer you're looking to find will be found in shitting on a dead man who died believing in something, doing something bigger than us, I say bigger than himself, bigger than an individual's personal pursuits. If you get hit in the head with enough rocks, has your life nearly taken several times, something's got to be in your soul that makes you want to do this. Can't just be fun times on the road. The fact that there are people that believe that. Really? I mean, how risking one's life and getting constant death threats. It led us from the FBI to kill yourself. Just do us a favor. Do black people a favor and kill yourself and other things. Other messages from the FBI, from CIA. I mean, how much of that would kind of put dampers on the fun times? But now we got people out here convincing some of the younger ones amongst us and some of the not as educated that Martin Luther King was like Diddy. And I find no evidence of that. And if at least Diddy, you got proof of stuff, all you got is people saying he was. That's all it takes. Yeah, I don't know, man. So it's not about, is MLK a perfect person? It's about America's imperfections, and it's about Black Americans' lack of protections and lack of civil rights in this country, which made the civil rights movement necessary. It's not perfect. It did not cure all things. We're a work in progress. This country will continue to be a work in progress, right? So, I just don't think smearing MLK is the way you get to that progress. And I think those who are doing this smearing will fixate it on a man who was born nearly 100 years ago, would not apply the same scrutiny to a man who's alive today and serving in the Oval Office, or his predecessor, or his predecessor, or his. I mean, we have a lot of people that you could be looking at their personal lives right now. And what do you say when we do that? What's the argument There's Scott Jennings, whose clip I ran earlier where he's defending Trump. What does he say when we look at Trump's personal life? He's quick to deny all things. Bring me the evidence. So it's not that Americans are incapable. It's not that the conservatives are incapable of saying who cares about that stuff. What's bigger and more important is why the impact on America and how it helped Americans, how it helped usher in this change, a change in society that helped a group of people that were being treated unjustly. That should be the focus. It's not that you deny that people made mistakes or people had frailties or whatever they had, but that is not the focus. To me, not the focus. I don't think. I don't think most of the people that have that focus, I don't think they come from a place of ethics, rationality, or reasonableness. I think they're being self-serving. I think they have an agenda. Most of the tape that I ran, most of the videos I saw of those making an issue about MLK were from opportunists. It appeared that they were hoping to get they were either already afforded some type of benefit for going after MLK, or they are trying to build views and clicks and a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, people make content for a lot of reasons. I just don't see how it makes sense. Because at the end of the day, civil rights movement was not about MLK, it was about us. And that's the part you forget. And that's why a lot of black Americans don't vote Republican. It's not focused on us. It's just not. That's why when I tell people I'm clobbering the Democrats because they lie to us, but that doesn't mean I want you to become a Republican. Because every time one of these guys open their mouth with a bunch of half-baked talking points, hypocritical as hell, I'm reminded just what kind of party that is. Just as covert, disgusting, self-serving, and corrupt as the Democrats. Just in different ways. Quick to overlook any flaws in their heroes, but quick to put out any flaws in yours. Here, Scott Jennings said Trump may be in some of the Epstein files, but really Clinton's in a lot more of them. So what? Lock them both up. That's what ethics would say. Think Scott would have a problem if they came and got Bill Clinton tomorrow? No. But he'd be hooping and hollering if they came and got Trump. And see, that's the problem. So, yeah. MLK, not a saint. Surprise! Human being. Surprise! No matter what's true and what's false. No matter what's true and what's false. But he did not kill himself. He did not nearly blow his own head off, though, did he? Now, he had help doing that. All right, folks, let's go to comments. They're not smearing King. Books have been written. King and cohorts for some freaky people. Oh, God. Yeah, I wonder if, I don't know, Thomas Jefferson and James Calhoun and all these other white presidents who owned slaves, I wonder how freaky they were. I wonder how freaky people that grab him by the change purse are. People say they just let him do it. We got tape of Trump saying you can grab him anywhere you want to grab. We can do whatever you want to do. We have literal tape of him saying it. Does that make him too freaky to be president? No, I bet he doesn't, Louis. I bet he doesn't. And that's the hypocrisy of the democracy. That's the hypocrisy of conservatives. He's got a big-ass bald eagle avatar. But he'll run right out and vote for Trump, even though he heard him say it. Hey, look, I'm one of those people saying I didn't give a shit about what was on those tapes. You know, I was one of those people saying, Democrats are behind the 8-ball. Because I believe Democrats are human beings and flawed and have all the same perversions as anyone else. I don't believe anyone's saintly. So I wanted the people that was like, I don't care about what's on those tapes, and watch. America won't either. And they didn't. But then we get people like Louis who really give a shit. Who will jump in the comment section and say, it's not about smearing MLK. It's just, they just want to point out that Americans were freaky. And, well, why aren't they pointing out the freakiness of all the presidents, including the sitting one? Your turn, go. Because it's all politically motivated. That's my point. It's all politics. But for Black Americans, beaten in the 60s for trying to vote or buy a sandwich, it's a little different. And that may seem like a long time ago if you are if you're a millennial or young millennial or Gen Z, but if you're a Gen X, your parents lived through that. Your parents actually walked through it. My mom had to sit on the back of the bus, so did my dad. You may not care about these things, but that be not nothing to you. You want to be busy focused on one person, and if they kept their zipper up, what? We want to talk about the school bombing where they blew little girls up, little Black girls blown up in a church? You want to talk about that? No conversation. We're not going to discuss it. We can't discuss that. Let's move back on it. Let's go back over here and talk about it. Now you want to talk about all the Black people. You want to talk about the buses of Blacks and whites that were trying to register voters and that was ambushed by rednecks? You want to talk about that? Not in the 30s, asshole, the 60s. No interest at all. No interest at all because people have a narrative. They don't care about truth. That's why I say I don't care about Republicans or Democrats, conservatives or liberals, because it's blood on both hands. And all of them use Black people as a token and as a hockey puck or a hot pocket. I don't know. And they throw it back and forth. They try to get whatever they can get out of it for whatever political gain they can get. Whether it's, oh, my Black America, that's my Black America. Or it's, oh, you the presidency, oh, you Black America. Or if it's, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something for Black Americans. No. I'm not going to sit here and say that. All of it is a bunch of nonsense. So we need to focus on our communities and what we need for our families and make decisions based on that. Because at the end of the day, the majority of these people do not really give a shit. They just don't. So that's where I'm at. But if you give a shit, continue to tune into the Tim Black Show. We do this Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays right here on the Tim Black Show, the most dangerous show in America. To wrap it up, MLK doesn't have to be a saint. That wasn't the job description. The job description was not saint. It was willing to die for the words coming out of your mouth. Feel free to sign up anytime you're ready. Thou person whose name not be known, whose content not have their face, whose likeness be hidden from the whole world, who criticize And as always, nothing a coward loves more than to see a brave man fall. Cowards. Stand for nothing and point fingers at those in the arena while you sit back being a judge and critic. No skin in the game, it could care less about truth. Tim Black's Wolfpack is in the building. Thank you for being here, Black Mamba. I appreciate you. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to read any more comments. I'm sure you all have opinions. Feel free to put out content. It's a free world. We can all put out content. We can all rebuttal. Be good for you and I. Gotta disagree? Make content. You know, that's it. Make content, respond. You know, but I think it's a big to-do about nothing. Charlie Kirk will never be MLK. And you can say good, Jason Whitlock, but Jason Whitlock, you're no hero. If you weren't working at the Blaze, you'd be that fat guy nobody heard from in over 15 years. People are propped up by other institutions. And if you're propped up by other institutions, I don't have to take you seriously. As far as I know, you're a company guy. As far as I know, someone's paying you to talk. As far as I know, your thoughts may not even be your own. Isn't that sort of the argument the conservatives make about MLK? His arguments weren't his own. Well, if he died for him, I don't think he got shot because he had an affair. I think he died for the things he said on that stage. And to me, that's what I'm going to go on. Not random people who can't wait to see documents released. Can't wait to see documents released. Look, man, we'll be back. I celebrated MLK Day by doing this research and taking a look at some of the disgusting things, some of the horrible content. And I was going to use some of that content tonight's show, but I felt like, why give them shine, Johnson? I'm not going to show their like this on my channel. But Jesus Christ, some of the disgusting things people were saying. He said something bad about JFK one day, as if that means he deserves to die, even if I do believe you. So what? What's that mean? Just dumb things. Like that's evidence of something. MLK was not the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement was the civil rights movement. At the end of the day, it's a bunch of rich white people that don't want anybody else to have anything. And a lot of you are just too much, the propaganda has affected you. If you start looking at it that way, it makes it all very simple. The least amount of people having anything besides them means it's a bigger share of it for them. It's just basic mathematics, and you use anything at your disposal to make that happen, whether it be race, religion, orientation, anything. You know? Why can't you look at it that basic? Because those are white guys, so then you got to defend it because you're infected. You can't just see greed and go, greedy bastards. You got to go, but they're white though. And you're black, so that means, and it's just a shame. It's like we can't get past it. We can't get past it. Got videos. You got actual videos of white women hawk spitting on 5 and 6 and 7-year-old black children. And you go, what? It was a different time. I'm Guy Johnson. I can do this all night. It's like the hypocrisy is so thick. We got actual video footage of the shit. You know, we got people that were alive that saw it, that lived through it. You talk about what people did privately in hotel rooms. Oh no! What's going on in hotel rooms right now while I'm doing this video? Join the real world anytime you're ready. I mean, jump right in. The water's warm. Wait till you go outside and realize there's stuff going on right now as we speak. You don't know what's going on. What you should be concerned with is if we got any rights that can be protected in this country for all of us. Why are so many people homeless in the richest country in the existence of countries? Ever cross your mind that become important? Or you still want to lose your shit over a trans kid using the bathroom? I'm like, look, I get it. Let's not lose sight of all the other stuff, though. That's all I'm saying. Gonna somehow walk and chew gum at the same time. I mean, we could try. It's hard when you're infected, when you got a machine that's spending millions of dollars a day to keep you focused on shit that doesn't affect your quality of life, but seems like a big deal. We argued over the past. Comment Center lit up with a bunch of drive-through conservatives. Morons. That's it. That's all I got, man. I'll see y'all Wednesday. Hopefully, God willing. Yeah. All right, guys. Now, look, the Tim Black Show is sponsored by you, not Prager University, not the Democrats, not the Republicans, not Turning Point, by a few people that watch the show. Tim Black's Wolfpack. This is a community-based. Big difference. May have heard of it. So go to jointimblack.com. For $5, $10 a month, you keep the show going. That's all. And then people can give you, then I'll continue to give you this unfiltered, unass kissing. Take this, not affiliated with parties. That's it. It ain't everything, but it's something. You are not losing your mind. This charade, a distraction of 200,000 documents about a dead guy who didn't even hold a public office. Yeah, you're not crazy. These are self-serving assholes. And that's how powerful MLK was. He still is. We got them conservatives chasing the ghosts, trying to smear a dead man. But they haven't produced anything even close in 70 years, to the point they got to dig up the legend of MLK and piss on it. And not realizing while doing so, it gives us an opportunity of people like me to go back again and set the record straight. So I thank you for that. You've been helpful. Now, some people got reasons for doing what they do, and I won't take that from them. But I have reasons for doing what I do. And you'll never take that from me.